Welcome to another episode of The Ultimate Hunters. I'm Kirk Washington.
And I'm Levi Rightnower.
And we're going to talk about some Nebraska turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Because that thing...
It was an awesome trip.
Whooped our butt.
Yes, it did.
But it was fun. And I feel like I learned maybe not a lifetime, but I learned a lot about turkey hunting whenever, we actually had to find some birds quickly.
Yeah.
You don't have a whole lot of time.
No, it was very, you felt like, or at least I felt like, whenever we got out there, I was like, oh, we got all the time. I was like, we got a whole half a day and then another whole day to scout.
Was that your first hunting trip?
Out of state?
Out of state.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So now you got...
Now I got some, I figured out what it's like, and if I ever go back there, if I ever go back to Nebraska, I will go back there.
Yeah.
Because I know the area now.
I loved it.
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
I love the
I will
mountains.
100% I will stay in the motel, though.
In the motel?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not the Airbnb?
Not the Airbnb.
Yeah.
It was a great Airbnb.
It is cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Like motels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not too bad.
Nope.
Versus an Airbnb, which I love Airbnbs for, other trips.
Yep.
For shoots and stuff.
But I think that hotel, where it was placed was perfect as far as where the public land was and everything. It was way closer.
Yeah, but we wouldn't have seen all those birds.
I know.
That was worth every penny.
It was.
So,
okay.
Alright, well.
Let's start. Let's just go day by day here.
Alright, go ahead.
So we're going to skip the whole driving. That was, we drove out there. It was,
You want to skip the driving, but it was the most wind I've ever driven through in my life.
That's true. It was. My truck got 14 miles to the gallon because of the headwind.
My normal car that gets 32 got 24.
That's ridiculous.
Because it was average, I think, 27 miles per hour with
Straight
gusts gusts of 45.
Mm-hmm. Straight at us the whole drive.
So, anyways, there's your driving.
Yeah.
There's how
we saw some birds on the way up there. That was
Yeah.
cool. But anyway, there was a whole lot of nothing. Driving. There wasn't much to see.
I don't think. Well, after being out there and learning, we knew where the birds were. They were in some bottom with that kind of wind.
Yep. But anyway, so then day one we get there, and we decide we're gonna go scout, and the first thing we do is bury my truck literally in 3 feet of snow.
It was thigh high.
It was thigh deep, so it was a little over 3 feet probably.
You can go ahead and tell them. It was my fault.
It was your fault. It was your fault. I mean, it wasn't 100% your fault because I was into it too. But I do have to give Hog some credit. He did say not to do it. He said...
I think we were too far down though. I don't think we would have got back up anyways.
No. He said, don't drive in there. And I said, it'll be fine. And just dove right off in it.
Alright, we didn't know it was that deep.
We did not.
Because it was like a snowdrift where wind had pushed it up against this, where it dropped down on a hill, but it made the hill look flat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, you got this, man.
Yeah.
This is 6 inches.
Yeah, max.
No, your truck dove head first.
Yeah.
Well, you know what else was funny? Was, I was like, sweet, we're the first ones back here.
No, that's why.
Yeah, so it was a public piece that you could drive on. A buddy of ours that went out there told us, he's like, yeah, you can drive that whole ridge. We're like, no way, because in Missouri, you can't drive on anything like that. Like, oh, that's going to be such a huge advantage.
Yeah.
We're the first ones back here.
Yeah. Right into the snow. Yeah. And just bottomed it out.
And then some drunk guy came and pulled us out.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was with his Ford Bronco.
Yeah.
That was brand new Ford Bronco.
Pulled me right out.
Yeah.
But that wasted our whole first evening. We did not scout any birds. There was no that. So then we got to Friday and we did a bunch of scouting. And we really didn't find any birds on Friday either, other than the private land birds. That was the morning we saw the flock of 200 in the road.
That was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Actually, whenever we came over that hill, so we came over this hill in the road, it looked unreal.
It did. We
came over this hill, and we couldn't see far, but as far as you could see,
there was turkeys.
There was turkeys.
Strutters, hens.
You ever seen one of those videos where it's I think it's over in another country, but it's all the sheep, like
Mhm.
goat or sheep farmers,
Mhm.
and there's like hundreds of them, and
Yeah.
they coat the roads.
Yeah. That's what it was like with the turkeys.
Or what is that Christmas movie? The train Christmas movie.
Polar Express.
Polar Express, and they run into the caribou.
Yeah.
And they had to honk the.
Yeah.
That's what
it was like.
They reminded me
These
of.
turkeys were just everywhere.
Yeah.
So then we proceeded naturally to do some door knocking.
Yeah, I knocked on like 12 doors, and
Kirk did all the door knocking.
I like talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty friendly.
Yeah. But that didn't turn out well. Everybody was nice.
They were super nice.
Mm-hmm.
All of them were like pay to hunt.
Yeah.
Or they already had hunters.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can see why.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, they have so much land, and I'm sure they get asked all the time. They're just like, hey, whatever their price was for a bird,
mm-hmm.
and there was a ton of public though, so we were like, well, we'll just
stick to that.
Yeah.
It was really so. The season opened on Saturday. Friday was the day that we did all the door knocking
and scouting. Y'all did a lot of miles.
Mm-hmm. We walked a lot and didn't really find any birds. And then come to find out later, I'll get ahead of us a little bit, but come to find out later, all the birds in the winter out there flock up on private land where they have feedlots and there's plenty of food. Yeah, plenty of food for them to eat. So we were out there a little early. We weren't too much early. I'll get into that in a second, but we were out there a little early. So the first few days there were, I would say, almost no birds on the public. There was a few.
Very few. It was, I guess, similar to what you talked about, like Missouri hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'll run into one or two.
Yeah. There'll
be other guys there. You try to cut them.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
That's pretty much that's what it was like. But then, so Saturday, we got up, and that's when we watched.
We knew where
a
bird was.
We found a bird Friday night.
Yep.
Yep. And Saturday we got up, went there, but we were a little late because it was a long drive. Mm-hmm. Over there was 30 minutes?
No.
It was almost an hour.
It was 50, I think.
Yeah, 50 minutes to that place, that particular spot. And by the time we got there, some other guys had camped there overnight, so they
drove in that night before. They said they got there at like 1 a.m. or something from Indiana.
Yep, and just woke up and heard this bird gobble.
They were going up on this other ridge. Mm-hmm. So there was a bunch of ridges on this certain piece that we were on, and they were going up on the other ridge across the road, and they heard this one that we were going to find. Mm-hmm. And so when they heard it, they went and got set up on them like early.
Mm-hmm. And then we rolled in, and he was right on the side of the road gobbling. Literally, as we were driving by, we had the windows down, you could hear him. So we pulled into the campground where they were camped, and we thought, well, maybe they won't be over there.
It's public land. We don't know where they're at.
Yeah, we didn't know where they were at. So we went back toward him, and he was gobbling good. Didn't call or anything just in case they were over there. And the way it laid out was they were on a point over here, which is where the bird was, and then there was a little draw, and then we were on the next point going up, and we were coming up the side of it. What was it? 80, 90 yards?
90 yards.
Yeah. And I had a feeling, I don't know, I just kind of felt like they were there. Yeah, that's why I said, I was like, hey, let's just hang back right here on this point.
Yeah.
And then, what was it, like 4 minutes?
No, y'all, wasn't even that. Because we got to the top, we knew he was there.
Yeah. And
y'all were making a game plan.
Yeah.
I mean, this is all in like 5-10 seconds of getting to the top of that other ridge.
Mm-hmm. And then they shot him. And then they shot him. And, so then naturally I was like, well, let's go find another one. So we're going back, and we ended up talking to the guy, and they told us their story of how they got there.
Yeah.
That was pretty cool. And anyway, I don't think, we didn't find another bird that morning. Did we? I don't think we did.
Oh man, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
I don't think we did. I don't.
We did not get much sleep, I'll tell you that.
No. And then we
didn't at all.
No, we didn't. We ended up driving around a bunch that day, scouting more basically. And you roosted. No, not Saturday night. The Saturday night we scouted and didn't find any, I don't think. And then Sunday was the morning that you ended up.
No, Saturday evening I roosted.
Was that the evening? Was that the evening you roosted the one that was on top of the? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I was like, how do you forget that?
Okay, yeah, it was Saturday evening.
We split up to go
Yes.
roost a bird because we weren't having much luck locating them on public land at this point, but we were really new to the area. Saturday midday is whenever we did like the 6 miles.
Yes, we
walking this there was this really, really nice like creek bottom. And we learned that a lot of the birds work the creek, and so midday, you know, we're like, let's just go walk it out and still hunt.
Yep.
And we jumped a hen. Yep. Saw some bison. Which that was really cool.
That was cool.
That they have out there. And then that evening we were like, hey, let's split up. Let's go roost a bird and smack them Sunday morning. So y'all took off.
Yep. And we went to that other piece of national forest, which I have literally never seen a more perfect looking spot for a turkey to be.
Yeah.
Like it had the creek running through it. It was green.
Yeah.
It looked like if I was a turkey, I would live there. There was no turkey. We didn't hear a single bird. But you...
So I just started working my way through this piece and like listening like late evening.
Back to where we were that morning.
Yep. And I heard a gobble.
Right. And you went back there because I left out that when we were driving in, before we got to the bird that got killed, we heard another one.
And I saw him.
Yeah.
He was a Jake, and he was right on private land. And turns out there's a guy that roosted him that night to go and hunt him the next morning. But there was another bird that was on public land. And so buttes.
Yeah, buttes.
If anyone knows what a butte is, don't climb to the top of buttes. You know, we learned our lesson bad.
Yeah.
That was the dumbest thing.
Yeah, because it was dark the next morning.
That was the dumbest thing I've ever done in my life.
We're getting ahead of ourselves here. You roosted him.
So I roosted him that evening.
Had pictures of him on the limb.
I went and I walked the side of the butte where the point is, or like
where
just a little bit. Well, it wasn't really walkable, but
you made it.
I made it, and hey, dudes.
Yeah.
But I'm like sliding down and like
it was steep.
Getting stabbed with pine needles. But I was like determined. I'm gonna go find exactly where this tree's at that this bird's in. So I know I'm gonna like look at him and everything. And I sure enough did.
You did.
So I went all the way to the top of this, almost the top of this butte, and he was lighting up. And he had a good gobble. Like for a
He was a solid bird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I videoed him, you know, going off, and put my pin there, and I was like, we'll be back in the morning.
Yep. Yep. So then we roll up, we get there, we get up at like 3.
Early.
Yeah.
We're going to kill this bird.
Yeah, we're getting up early. So we get there well before daylight. And wouldn't you know, we're getting out of the truck, getting our stuff together. Here comes another hunter who had also roosted the same bird. He didn't know put in the work like you did. He didn't know where he was. He just had heard him from the road. And so then, after talking to him, he was a great dude. Cool guy.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we ended up putting him in the better spot. Unknowingly, because we thought. Because you had never been to the top. You didn't go all the way to the top.
I didn't go all the way to the top.
So you didn't realize that it was, once it got to the top, it was literally sheer rock, straight up and down.
There was a trail that I walked in on. And I thought that trail, by the way that my maps looked, I thought that trail just went like kind of around it and then went on top. And I was like using this topo map, like turning it sideways and looking at the terrain on the top. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's walkable.
Yeah. So our plan was to come in from above him.
Because he was at the top.
Yeah, he was
there was an opening up there, and that's where it looked like he probably flew up. He had to have flown up from up there.
Mm-hmm. And so we start our ascent up this steep hill, and get almost to the bird, and then come to this spot on the top of this thing that we couldn't walk. It was literally 90 degrees.
What we were already doing, I'm telling you, if we slipped, we were
going all the way up. 100%. Like it was as close to 90 as you can be and still walk on it. But then we got to it and it went ahead and 90'd. Yeah. And it was just straight down. And so we couldn't get any closer to that bird. There was like 50 yards there where there was no way we could walk.
Yeah.
And so where we sent the other guy was around the bottom side.
Perfect. I set him up. Yeah. I set him up because I was like, oh yeah, this bird is right here. Because we made a game plan. We were like, we're going to go to the top. We're going to set up right next to him basically.
And if he flies down to you, cool. If he flies down to us, cool.
Yeah, because we were already going to go to the top.
We were all in agreement. Like everything was good. Because our game plan was to go to the top. So we thought, well, this guy, we'll kill him first.
Yeah.
That was wrong. Although the guy ended up not killing him. Because I think some other hunters came in.
The two Indiana boys.
Yeah.
There was two Indiana boys that were farther down, but of course that turkey was getting it.
Yeah.
And so I knew that they probably heard, and they came. So we were trying to come from the top, which didn't happen. This guy was going straight for the bird, right underneath of him. And then I know that they did because I talked to the Indiana boys. I don't know if you knew that.
Yeah.
But they came from the back side, and we heard the bird whenever he would got on the ground, and he was gobbling good, and then all of a sudden the other guy said he took off. They took off, so
I think they scared him.
They scared him.
But anyway, so that was that, and then after that we get in the truck, and that's when the longbeard and the hens crossed the road in front of us. By the way, same guy that we were hunting with that morning.
Yeah.
He left before us. And then we're behind him,
Well, we
didn't know where he went.
Yeah,
we were way behind him because we were taking our time.
We were like an hour.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd been gone for a long time because we worked back and
we went and walked a bunch, and then we drove up to some more public that we had got intel that there was a lot of birds on from the local people out there and everything. And so we were driving, just cruising along, and then a longbeard comes across the road in front of us, and some hens, and they're just slowly working their way up. And so we get up close. I pull off the side of the road, and would you know it, the same dude is parked on the other side of the road, up the road from us.
They walked behind his truck 10 yards.
Yeah, and so I was like, we didn't know where he was at.
So his truck was parked on the left side of the road. There's public all on the left, all on the right. The birds came from the left. And they were crossing into the right side of the public.
And all we had to do was run and get around them.
Oh,
and we could have done it. I mean, they were moving slow. They had no idea. We had plenty of cover. Definitely could have done it, except I did not know where that guy was.
We didn't know.
I had no idea where he was at. So I didn't want to just take off running up there. So we slowly worked our way up there, and naturally the birds beat us up to the top. And then once we got up on top, we seen other guy come out of the left side of the road.
Yeah, we were like, oh, he's not here.
Yeah, so then we send our other buddy,
Tucker.
Yeah. We send him, he ran down and ran up the next point trying to get in front of these birds. And he got up there, fast enough. He saw the hens and actually was close enough to them that if the gobbler would have been with him, he could have shot him. But for some reason, the gobbler wasn't there.
Disappeared.
Yeah, that was that. So that was the morning. We go back to the Airbnb, hanging out, whatever, eating lunch. We go right back to that spot within 2 or 3 hours. I think we waited 2 or 3 hours and went back for the evening because we were going to roost birds there. And
we were going to split off.
We were going to stay in the bottom.
I'm going to go because we don't really know at this point where birds are at. We're still trying to learn.
Because this is only day 2.
I'm going to go find birds. I'm going to go go and just run around.
In this creek bottom.
Yeah.
Yep. So Tucker and I take off back up the road where we had seen those birds that morning. And would you know it, as soon as we come around a corner, there he is standing in the road. So I go one way up over the top, and Tucker stays in the road and just follows it around the corner. And the bird comes in front of Tucker. I never saw him. He came in front of Tucker, and he missed him. Naturally, happens, whatever. You know, it was quick and rushed.
Yeah.
So then we go on all the way a good ways, almost to the back of this property, and we end up roosting one bird that evening and had him. We knew where he was at. It was good. You roosted like
seven
birds,
and six in six different spots,
yeah.
But they were all in the same area.
Yeah,
within
100 yards.
Because there was two birds that were together.
Yeah,
but they were a little farther back.
Mm-hmm.
But 7.
Yeah, 7 birds. So we thought at that point we were like, it's game over tomorrow.
Oh, game over.
We're like, okay, we got 7 different birds to find here. Like we're in the money now. Like we found them. This is day 2, Sunday. So the Monday morning we get up and we go there where he roosted this. We decided to go to his 7 instead of our 1 because naturally. And the wind's just blowing.
Wasn't crazy bad?
No,
I don't feel like it was crazy bad.
I didn't feel like it was either, but
it was blowing.
But it was blowing good. And for some reason the birds just did not gobble. Like one they gobbled 3 or 4 times. Like 2 of them did.
So there was 2 other older guys
mm-hmm.
that were hearing those birds.
Yeah.
And there were 2 birds that were closer to the road.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever I came out from, being in the mix and like making sure I knew where they were at,
yeah.
I saw that one of the older guys was there, and I was like, oh dang it, he knows everything that's going on. So I was like, hey, what's your game plan?
Yeah.
So them 2 mm-hmm. were gonna go after the 2 closest birds to the road, and then there's a pile of 3 that's like in a triangle.
Yeah.
That was in just a few hundred yards more.
Very far in there. Yeah, no, we didn't have to
and
walk.
we were going to go, we sat in the middle of those 3 birds.
Mm-hmm.
And those 3 birds, whenever it started getting light, all of them hit. All of them gobbled a few times. Mm-hmm. Not very much, though. Those 2 that they were hunting, though, they didn't say a peep.
We couldn't hear them anyway. They said they gobbled, but I couldn't hear them. Yes.
We were really close to them.
I don't know. They said they gobbled until
I
they hit the
almost
ground.
wonder if they heard ours.
Maybe.
Because I'm telling you, when we walked in,
we were close.
Where those birds were at,
yeah,
they were close to us. That's why we were in such a great area, because where they were going in, if those 2 birds like slipped past them and came deeper into the public, mm-hmm. they were going to be on us too. So we really had 5 birds that could work towards us.
And they just...
And so they hit the ground. We didn't see a single bird.
Mm-mm. They hit the ground, shut up, which is normal for turkeys, especially early. But then they disappeared. Like we walked that entire piece right there and never found. I don't know where they went.
Tucker went up for that. So that bird that was just a little bit deeper, like out of the 3, there was one that was a little deeper in there.
Mm-hmm.
He was a good bird.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the older guys were telling me too. It's like, that bird back there, that's a good bird.
Mm-hmm.
And so Tucker, he went in up that ridge closer to him, and I was like, I know he's going to see one of them. Something happened.
No.
I couldn't believe it.
I couldn't either. It was like they just disappeared.
But those 2 older guys, they didn't see any birds either.
Nope, not a one. So then, this is Monday.
And there's where my hatred for turkey hunting began.
Yeah. And then so they just disappeared. Like they were gone. And we were supposed to, so we only booked our Airbnb through Monday because we didn't know for sure if we were staying or not. And we had decided to go stay in the motel that I mentioned earlier. So I was like, okay, let's just go back and get our stuff gathered up, and then we'll come back and hunt the rest of the day. Then we'll go check into the motel, stay another night. Mm-hmm. And we're driving down the road. Me just being me, not paying any attention. I'm just cruising, just driving.
You learned out west real quick.
Uh-huh.
Always be watching.
You called me and you said, "Please tell me you saw those birds." I was like, "No." So there's a creek like well, they call it a river, that runs alongside this whole road. It would be a creek to me.
Yeah.
It's a creek. Anyway, but the turkeys apparently travel that, right? Those creek bottoms. So there's a gobbler and 3 hens that we saw first.
Mm-hmm.
And so we turn around, park in a parking spot, get out, find them again off the side of the road.
Yep.
And then me and you go try to cut them off in front of them.
It was a 3-way intersection.
Yep. There was a 3-way. Yep. There was a, they could, yes. So anyway, we try to get in front of them. And when we go down and around them, they ended up turning and going up the other draw.
Yep.
Luckily, well, we didn't know this. We just kept trying to, so we were just following them at that point because they were ahead of us. We're trying to get in front of them.
It had to be quick.
Yeah, we were basically running, trying to get ahead of them. Just kept running, and they stayed in front of us. And then they go up, basically back the direction they came from, just a different ridge, you know. And they're walking over the top of it, and then all of a sudden we hear a, and we're like, oh my God. Again. Somebody else killed our bird.
I was like, man, these guys are everywhere.
So we just take off back to the truck. He shut the cameras off, everything. And we're like, man, this, and then I stopped.
It was like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
It was pretty quick.
It was pretty quick, but it felt like,
thinking.
yeah. And I was like, that was a 410.
Yeah.
And I was like, no way Hog was back there.
Yeah.
And then we were like, oh my God, he is. So we took off, we sprinted up this ridge.
Was that him?
Yeah, is that him? We're just running. And, you know, luckily it was him, because we would have just ran up on some random dude.
I didn't even think about that.
But
we're all asleep deprived, like you just see 200, it's like...
We're just sprinting up there.
Probably scare the crap out of him if it was some random dude.
Then we get to the top of the hill, and here comes Tucker.
Tucker's like carrying the bird over like the hill, like he just... You know, slayed the he was like, got him.
Yeah. So, oh man, so that was awesome.
Yeah, because we worked our tails off for the first. I guess that was
day 3, but day 2 or day 3 of hunting. Day 4 being out there.
Yeah.
So we'd already put on a lot of miles, so it felt great when he finally got that done. Yeah. And so we sat up there, celebrated a little bit, took some pictures. Then went back to the truck, and at that time it was like, we had to be checked out at noon. It was like 11:30, and we're 50 minutes away.
Yeah.
And so we're like, okay, let's head back.
So, hold on.
You go ahead now.
So, we take back off down the road. I was on the call with my wife, and whenever the first birds, I saw the first birds.
Yeah.
And I told her, like, I gotta go. Like, there's birds right here. And so then I called you. Mm-hmm. Then we came back. Well, whenever we got back on the road, I called Emily back. Mm-hmm. And I was on the phone with her for a few seconds. And we're like a couple, I don't know. Probably like 400 or 500 yards down the road. Yeah. And she hears me go, oh my gosh. And she was like, more birds? And I said, yep. and hung up. And I called Levi, and I was like, tell me you saw those birds. And did you think I was joking?
I did. I was like, no. I was like, there's no more birds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw 2 big, like, what do you call them?
Flocks.
Yeah, flocks. I saw 2 good sized ones. I didn't know how many. I knew there was 20, at least, you know, what I was seeing. Mm-hmm. And they were working their way, you know, down kind of the same draw.
They were coming back toward where we had just came from.
Yeah. Yeah. Going that same way.
Yeah. And you saw strutters down there. And so I hang up the phone, I look at Tucker, and I'm like, there's absolutely no way this is about to happen. Because we had been talking, we're like, it'd be awesome if we could just tag out today and go home. You know, just get on back home. Because Missouri season opened that day, so we're like, we could get back, have the whole rest of the week to hunt Missouri.
Yep.
And so we turn around, get in a parking spot. Obviously, Tucker had already killed a bird, so he's just staying at the truck. And Kirk and I just dive off in there way in front of him. And we just set up.
Because I saw they were moving pretty decent.
So we just set up way in front of them. We knew they were going to feed down that creek bottom. They were coming our way. And we didn't think they would split off or anything, because there was really nowhere for them to go at that point. They would have had to come on across that little path that we went down to go anywhere else. So we set up next to this huge tree. And at first I was on the right side of it, and I was looking at the terrain of the way the creek bottom laid there, and I knew that creek was really deep on the right side. So I was like, they're going to come to the left, up over this little knob.
Mm-hmm.
And so I switched sides of the tree, and we sat there. And we sat there, and we sat there.
A long time.
It probably really wasn't that long, but it felt like it was hours. But it was definitely like
15 minutes.
Yeah, probably. But it felt
I thought I was like
they're gone.
They did something.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Because Tucker was up on the road looking for him.
Yeah.
And then after the fact, he was like, I never saw him.
Yeah.
But anyway, eventually, after sitting there a while, I heard him. We could hear him like the hens going off.
Yeah.
I heard one gobble.
You could hear him.
Yeah. Yeah. Just feeding along down through there. So I was like, okay, here they come. So I'm sitting there. I had Kirk arrange it. He had his rangefinder. It was 43 yards. I was like, the top of that little hill was.
Yeah.
It's like, okay. And then I see two red heads pop up. And I'm aiming at him. I was like, Kirk had his binos too. He was behind me also with the camera. He was doing a lot for me. I was like, are those longbeards? He said, no, those are Jakes.
The first one that I saw, well, actually, I don't know if it was a Jake.
Okay. Well, you said they were Jakes.
I don't know about
You said they were Jakes.
I learned, I'm better.
Yeah.
I'm better now, but not.
You said they're Jakes. And I thought, okay, cool.
Yeah.
And then I hear, dong, and I was like, and then I see the fan open up, coming up. He was coming up behind those other two. He was strutting, and I was like, that's a longbeard.
Then I brought my binos up, and I was like, oh, yep.
He had a roll.
Yep.
He was big. He was a good bird. Like, this would have made Hog's bird look small. Like, he was a good bird. So I'm sitting there. He pokes up. He gets up, gets away from all the other birds at 43 yards. I put my red dot right at the base of his neck. That was mistake number one. That was my mistake. I knew that my gun shot low and to the right a little at that distance.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it'll be good enough.
Yeah.
So I touched it off. He kind of rocked.
He did. He threw a wing or something.
Yeah, he rocked. And in my hurry, I'm shooting a single shot 410 Savage Stevens. In my hurry to get out of the truck and get down there.
Did you know you only had one shell?
I did.
When you were sitting there?
Mm-hmm. Yep, and I had plenty of time to go get another one.
Well, we didn't.
But I didn't know that.
No.
Just hindsight, had plenty of time. I had plenty of time to get my turkey, my whole vest and everything out of the truck.
Called Tucker and be like, hey,
throw me a shell.
Throw me another shell as far as you can.
Yeah, I should have. But anyway, so he does a little rock thing, and I was like, and I knew I only had the one shell. So I jump up, because I thought I'd wounded him enough to be able to catch up to him.
You had a really good 40 time.
Yeah. So I took off sprinting at this turkey. And at that time, I didn't know how many turkeys there were.
Probably a 4 or 5 40.
Yeah. I mean, it was fast. I was running.
Were you in your hay dudes?
No, I was in my boots.
Oh, okay.
I was running, though. And Tucker could see me from the road when I was running, and he said I was running slow. But anyway, it felt fast. It felt like I was going fast. Anyway, so I get up there where he was at, and I'm chasing him, because he didn't run off, really. And I jumped up, I said, oh no, I've only got one shell. And I take off running. And I'm thinking, in my mind, okay, if I wounded this bird, I can catch him and just break his neck. That was my goal.
I didn't hear that you only had one shell, but I'm sitting there videoing, and I'm like, what is he doing?
Yeah. So I was like, that was going through my head, and I know better than that. Like, that turkey would have messed me up if I would have grabbed a hold of him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was what was going through my mind. I was like, I'm getting this bird. So I take off sprinting after him, and I pop up over that little hill that they came up toward us. I don't know how many turkeys there were. There were at least 60. But they went everywhere, just scattered. Me with an empty gun. I'm just standing there. I'm like, oh my God. I was like, I don't even know what to do.
We're going to roll the clip right now.
Yeah.
Are you on it? Yeah. Oh no, I've only got one shell.
I'm just standing there. I'm like, oh my gosh. And then I see him, and he's still not flown off. He's just kind of running. I was like, okay, I'm going to catch him. So I take off running again, and then he gets to the creek where it drops off, and then he just pitches up and flew off. And so that's my story of how I...
There were birds everywhere.
Yeah, there was a bunch. And there was like 6 longbeards that I saw when I popped up over that hill.
When you went down and all those birds just blew up, I was like, what is going through his mind right now? Because he did like a cannonball into a huge flock of turkeys, and I was like, that's got to be the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I had like your eye view whenever you pop that hill.
Yeah, they were everywhere. All I had to do was sit there. You know, in hindsight,
we didn't know, but
I didn't know.
Well, we didn't know that many birds were there too, so that's what caught us off guard.
Yeah. But even with no shell, if I would have just sat there, we probably could have came back and got back on those birds.
Yeah.
But I boogered them so bad. Like, I apologize to anyone who's hunting in the area in Nebraska right now, because those birds are scared of people. Like,
that's gonna be the hardest place to hunt.
They know they're being hunted.
They see a 200-pound human.
Yeah.
Just.
Yeah. They know people are after them now.
Yes.
But anyway, so, and come to find out, while we were down there, all this was happening, Tucker is on top, up there by the truck, talking to some people who worked in this conservation area. That is a known travel route for turkeys. Whenever they're moving from private to public, they travel that.
Yeah.
Like, that's where they come from. So, there's no telling how many birds we drove by there before not looking.
I was looking.
You know, you were looking the whole time? Every time we drove by there?
As soon as we got to anywhere that we were hunting, I probably overlooked them or they were in a bottom, you know, but yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, anyway.
There was probably quite a few that we drew by.
So, that was real sad, and I was depressed and kicking myself, and really just, I was ready to come home, to be honest, after that. I was upset, but we were all the way out there. I was like, okay, I gotta give it my best effort. So we go back to the Airbnb, and then on our way back, you thought, well, we all thought that one of the landowners was going to let us hunt the next morning.
Tuesday morning.
So we decided.
Well, the lady that I talked to said she would put you somewhere.
Yeah.
And so we're like, sweet.
Yeah. So anyway, we decided to stay in the Airbnb because it's closer to that particular private land.
Yeah.
So we go back and hang out there for a while. Let me get over my depression a little bit. And then we go back to that same freaking place and pull in, and immediately what do we see? Two or three strutters and some hens in that green field across the creek.
I just saw a big old black dot of turkeys out in the middle of this field just doing their thing.
And I'm driving, and all I have in my mind is, okay, I've got to get a bird killed. So I pull into this parking lot that is on the same plane, you know, like it drops off and then comes back up into that field. It's the same level. The parking lot's on one side, the creek or the field that they're in is on the other, so they can very visibly see us.
Yeah. Which
was stupid.
How far were they though?
They were a couple hundred yards.
Farther than that.
Maybe 400. They weren't no farther than 400 yards across there.
That's probably accurate.
But anyway, they could see us. Moral of the story.
Yeah.
So we get out of the truck. They stayed there forever. We get out of the truck. We get all dressed and everything. Mind you, they're watching us the whole time. I should have just kept driving and parked on down the road where they couldn't see us and went back. But anyway, so then they take off.
The hens did.
I
guarantee the strutters would have just, they didn't care.
No, the hens
they were
stayed
following hens like heavy.
If the hens stayed there, the strutters would have stayed there. But anyway, the hens took off.
Hens.
They're probably the same hens that I literally ran over when I was running through the... Anyway.
Oh, there's that guy.
Yeah.
They're scared of mountain lions and Levi.
Yeah.
Like, that's their two known predators.
Yeah. So anyway, we take off after them, right? And turkeys out there, obviously they're used to. They go up and down these hills. They move so much faster than we do. like we would feel like we were
crazy.
gaining ground on them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then we'd pop up over the next hill and they'd be the same distance away from us the whole time. Like we never got
running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We never got close to those. But we watched them. There was a bunch of them. It was probably that whole flock, honestly. And we watched them for a while. And then we heard another one gobbling back toward where we came from. So,
dude, they were everywhere.
There was just birds everywhere.
I mean, on that single, like, kind of piece right in there, that single day between, I don't know, I guess it was 11 o'clock, and then that whole evening, we probably saw 120 birds.
Yeah, guaranteed it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so, we heard that one gobbling all the way at the back of the property. So, me and you take off to him, and Tucker's way behind us. Ended up going back to the truck.
Yeah, No, he ended up moving along, and he was spotting some other birds.
Yeah. But anyway, we take off to that one back there, and he was close enough to us at that one point that I really thought he was coming because I could feel him gobble.
Yeah.
You know, in my chest when we were sitting up in those cedars.
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
But he definitely just poked his head.
Because there were so many turkeys.
Yeah.
Like we were chasing like this big flock, and then they worked their way in this huge open bottom, and it's like, I can't do nothing with those. And then on our way there, we jumped 4 or something, and we thought that they were them.
Yeah.
And I was like, there ain't no way.
Yeah.
I was like, there ain't no way, because they were way down here anyways.
Yeah.
And so then we heard a single
by himself.
And we started running. Dude, we put on some quick miles there.
Booked it back to him, got set up on him, and it's getting to where it's almost fly up time. It's getting close.
Yeah.
So we're trying to make a move on him, and he's gobbling good. Answering my calls almost every time. And so then we get close enough that I'm like, okay, he's either going to come or he's not. And he gobbled one time, and he was like, felt like he was right on us. But now that I know where he was at, he had just came up out of that bottom and poked his head up over the side there, gobbled, and then probably went back down underneath. Because then we moved around on him, and I walked over to the edge because it was like a field, and then it just dropped off into another little deep ditch. And he was definitely down in that, working around on the side, and he flew when I stepped up over the edge there because he hadn't gobbled in a while.
Yeah.
So he had stayed under that hill the whole time.
Yeah.
And that's why he kept sounding farther away and then would sound close because he'd come up higher. Anyway, and so that was it. That was our last evening, and then we thought we were going to hunt till Tuesday morning.
So the next day, the average was 32 miles an hour.
And rainy.
Average. And gusts of like 50.
Yep.
It was crazy.
Yeah. So I told the guys that night, because when we got back to Airbnb, we found out that the hunters that were on that private didn't end up tagging out that evening, so I wasn't going to be able to hunt. Fine.
Yeah.
I had full intentions of going right back to where all those birds were.
Yeah.
But I told them when they went to bed, I was like, I'll get up, see what the weather's doing, and if it's bad, we'll just sleep in and then get up, pack up, and leave.
Yeah.
So that's what we ended up doing. I got up, and it was pouring rain, and the wind was blowing
30 miles an hour.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So I just came inside, and I was like, stay in bed. We'll just head home. So then we headed home.
Yeah.
And that was our Nebraska trip, but it was...
Dude, it was so...
It was the coolest experience.
It was fun.
Yeah. I definitely hope I can go back in May.
You know what's crazy? Like, dude, God is so good because I couldn't walk Friday morning.
Oh, we left the house.
I was thinking about that whenever we left. So I had my sciatic nerve was pinched, and I had pain all the way down to my ankle on my leg.
Literally couldn't walk.
I couldn't walk. We were scouting Friday morning, so this is our day of scouting.
Yeah.
And I'm like in the back seat of the truck, dude, in like so much pain. I'm just trying to like get where
literally
I can
laying like across the whole back.
Yeah, because I'm just trying to get where I can like not be in extreme pain.
Yeah.
But I wanted to go knock on some doors. I wanted to go knock on some doors, whenever we were driving around together. And I got out and I like barely could walk.
Yeah, he was like hobbling up to these doors.
And Yeah, but dude, I could not walk Friday morning, and so that Friday evening, y'all went off, and then I had like a TENS unit, and I was hooking it up and trying to relieve pressure.
Yeah.
And whenever I've had sciatic nerves do that, I've never like recovered like how I did and quickly,
right.
and it be completely gone like it did.
Yeah.
Because I've had it happen, and I'd be down literally just like that, couldn't walk, do nothing for like 3 days normally.
Yeah.
And we did almost 30 miles.
Over 30 miles.
Over 30 miles and climbed 200 flights of stairs by your how it counts flights.
Yeah.
In those next 3 days, and I didn't have any problem.
You hit just the right spot with that electric, the shock, I guess, and it just...
Well, I was sending out some prayers because I just drove all the way out there. We're gearing up. We got stuck Thursday and Friday morning, in extreme pain. And so it was, man, I was thinking about that, but
oh, it was definitely God there.
Yeah.
I mean, it just gone.
Yeah. And I didn't have any issues, no problem.
Right.
So that was awesome. And like I said, whenever I was leaving, dude, I think that was one of my top 5 hunts I've ever been on.
It was awesome.
And I didn't have a tag.
Yeah.
But it was so fun.
Oh, man.
It was beautiful. The story was awesome. It sucked. Missing birds, but it was a fun trip.
Yeah. Oh, I was livid that I missed, but I still wouldn't trade it for it. That was awesome. It was a great experience. Turkey hunting, you miss. It happens. Everybody misses. I came home, as soon as I got back to Missouri, I shot my gun, and at 43 yards, there's no reason I should have missed that bird other than me.
Yeah.
I know I said my gun shoots low and to the right, but not enough. Whenever I shot that target when I got home, there were so many pellets in the head.
Oh, dang.
That bird should have been dead. But I literally sat while we were sitting at that tree. I don't know if I told you this yet. While we were sitting at that tree, my watch was going off telling me that I needed to get my heart checked because my heart rate had been elevated too high for too long. It was at 120 beats a minute the whole time we were sitting there.
Yeah, I think you mentioned that. You're like, my watch is going off.
Yeah.
I'm finna die.
Yeah. So I was excited is what I'm getting at. Super excited, nervous, just wanting to. And I also, in my head, that bird was already loaded up when we were headed to the house. And you can't do that. That's when you miss, is whenever you are so confident that you don't even think about it. And I just put it on him and touched it off. And I came home without a bird. But that's okay, because like I said, that experience was it was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Tucker brought home a bird. So that was a win for the team.
It was.
All of us out there together, it was.
When he shot that.
Dude, I was on cloud 9. I felt like I had just shot one.
Yeah.
So it was great. But
yeah.
Then I missed shortly after that, and so it was really, really high and then just straight down.
Yeah.
And I couldn't imagine, though. I really did think, it was in my head, I was like, oh, we're going to tag out right here and go home.
Yeah.
But
those failure versus success stories.
Yeah, there it is. But if I get to go back in May, I'm confident. By that time, because if I do go back, it'll be like Memorial Day.
So we learned that, they break up end of April, beginning of May is whenever they actually disperse those 200, 300 flocks.
Yep, they disperse into smaller, much smaller.
Whenever it gets warmer. Because you're way up north.
Point being, it's way up north, and so it's cold, or northwest, it's cold.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't. We got lucky, is what, because Tucker and I talked to that game warden on Saturday evening.
Yeah.
And he told us, he said, I recommend everybody wait till the last week of April or first week of May to be out here because this week right here is always a toss-up whether we've got 2 feet of snow or it's 80 degrees. Luckily, it was 80
You
degrees.
said last year there was like a ton of snow there at that time.
Well, in the week before we were there, they had a foot of snow.
2 foot of snow, or
It
1
snowed
foot?
2 feet, but 1 foot stayed.
Yeah, it was slushy. They said
Yeah.
it was a wet snow.
Yeah. So anyway, we got lucky that for the weather, and like I said, by Monday the birds were moving in.
They were breaking up.
Yeah, they were moving in. So now I'm sure Nebraska people are out there right now killing them, and that's fine.
Except for those 50, 60 that
they're probably
are on high alert.
Yeah.
Like
they're just watching for me. But anyway, so if I get to go back, it'll be like Memorial Day weekend, and by then the birds will still be doing their thing, but they'll be obviously highly pressured.
Yeah.
So
now it's Missouri season. We're back here. We're gonna go in the morning.
Yep, we are.
Me and Emily, we found a nest of 14 eggs.
Really?
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So we were looking for mushrooms for morels, and this hen popped up. Now we got pretty close, so I was like, she's sitting on eggs. So I told Emily that. So we walked over, and sure enough, there was a pile. There was 14 eggs that she was sitting on, which is really cool. Yeah. Really cool to see that.
You love to see that. Hopefully they'll survive.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in the morning around here. See what we can do. We're gonna get on one of the highways here that I've got 2 that I don't know which one we're gonna go down, but they're just lined with public on both sides. Gravel road you can just pull off, listen, go to the next spot if you don't hear one. Sweet. So that's what we're gonna do. There's birds out there. My buddy and I went last Sunday. Yeah, last Sunday, and we got on one.
It was cold. Yeah, it was cold that morning and Saturday morning.
Yeah, because we didn't hear anything right at daylight when we were on some private. The only bird we heard was across the road on other private that we don't have permission on. And so then we came back down one of the highways and just pulled off. We heard 2 or 3 there in that one spot, and but every time he'd gobble, he would answer the call every single time, but he was going the opposite way the whole time. So that's what he was doing. Hopefully, we're getting toward the end of season here in Missouri. And usually, either they completely shut up and just quit doing their thing, or if you get lucky, they're still looking, but all the hens are bred, so they're a little easier they're trying to work. They're easier to work. So we'll see what's happening. I know the past weekend, like Friday, I've hunted Friday and Saturday. It's Sunday, or it's Saturday now, but I've hunted Friday and this morning, and I've heard 1 gobble. But the weather's been, we've had those storms. Yeah. And, when it storms, imagine being a turkey in a tree when it's storming. You wouldn't gobble the next day either.
I wouldn't feel good being wet with feathers and soggy, and I'd be like, I don't want to get out.
Yeah. Well, I think, I don't know this for certain, but I think that when the wind blows real hard like that, they end up on the ground at night. Like they get down, and then they huddle up, and then they just don't do anything the next day.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, because it's not going to rain tonight and it's not going to rain in the morning, so I'm hoping, and it's going to be warm tonight and in the morning.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that it's really going to be a good morning and we can get out and
before church and get
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe 2. Never know.
Yeah.
We'll have to switch guns and camera.
I was going to say, I don't have a gun, but I have tags.
Yeah, well, you have tags. So we'll see what we can do. We may kill one and then have another one immediately fire up. You never know. I've been in that situation before.
I can tell you this now. I am enjoying it.
I'm glad you're enjoying it. I thought you would.
I'm enjoying it. I like doing it with some guys.
It's a lot more fun
with someone.
With people, yeah. I don't mind hunting by myself, but we walked all those miles in those mountains out there.
Yeah.
That felt like nothing compared to when we got back on Thursday. Like the Thursday after we got back and I hunted by myself, I walked like a mile up just hills here in Missouri. Yeah. Felt way worse than everything we walked out there, and that's because I was by myself, I think.
Yeah.
I just didn't have the motivation, and I was like, just heavy breathing, and I was like, God, this sucks. Because I told myself before I went down there, because, there's some big hills down there where I hunt, but I was like, there's nothing that compares to what we did in Nebraska.
No.
And so I was like, I told my dad, I was like, there's not a hill down there that scares me. I'm going to dive wherever the birds are.
Well, then you also had me like, come on, guys, let's go.
Yeah.
Let's go check out this. Let's go there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
Just having a ball. I was like a kid.
Dude, it was awesome.
I was like a kid again.
I cannot wait to go back out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope, Lord willing, that we can do it every year.
Yeah.
And you can actually get a tag this time.
Yeah, so now my vendetta that I want to do next year is I want to go hunt all 4 species with
in
a
1
bow.
year? With a bow?
Yes.
No.
I like it for the challenge. I'm like,
I mean, you do what you want. I'm bringing a shotgun.
That motivates me. I'm like, I'm going to do it. We'll see. It's got a year away, but I'm really...
I know you can do it, and especially if you pay like on one of those.
Yeah, where there was a bunch of birds. And to be honest, I don't mind doing that.
No, especially if the guy
it's not
$100 a bird.
Yeah, it's not much.
Mm-mm.
And if I've got like a higher chance and I don't have to be out there for a week long and miss more work, $100. I mean,
worth it, especially once you travel that far. Which that's what I was talking to my dad whenever we found out that it was $100 a bird at that one place. Mm-hmm. He was like, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I really don't want to, pay to kill a bird. He's like, you've already paid to go out there. You bought your tag. He said, you spent all the money in gas. What's another $100?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a valid point. I'll pay $100 to shoot a turkey.
Yeah.
Didn't get to, but I would have.
I remember whenever I was a kid, there was like some cornfields that farmers let people come and dove hunt, and it was like $20 or something. Yeah. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, just thinking about that.
Yeah. No, if I was one of those farmers out there, I would definitely charge to hunt.
Yeah. It's like
we left out the fact that the only place we got permission on, the dude didn't have any turkeys. We were at the burger place, and he was talking to us about it. He's like, man, are you all?
He's like, man, I hate turkeys.
Yeah, he's like, they eat up all my feed.
They eat all my cattle feed.
And he's like, I normally have them, but they ain't there yet. And if they were, I'd let you come shoot them. I was like, of course. The one guy that says, yeah, come on, kill them all.
We ain't got any
doesn't have any birds. And I was like, of course, that would be the case.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, and then like every single house we talked to, they're like, yeah, we had about 100 birds. I just shoot them out of my front yard whenever they move through. Mm-hmm. Like everyone had a story of, I just shot a bird off my deck. They were in like literally in their yard, and they were like, there's about 200 of them.
Yeah.
Like what?
Dude, it would be nuts to have that many turkeys.
But the other thing is like just all the wildlife we saw. We saw mule deer, antelope. We saw everything. Y'all saw elk. Mm-hmm. I didn't see the elk.
I saw elk this morning though, so like that. Yeah.
Oh, I forget about that.
Yeah, but we saw 3 bulls. We saw the bison.
You ever find any shed or hear people finding sheds?
I hear people finding them, but I've never found them. I want to so bad.
I didn't know
these particular bulls that Dad and I saw this morning. I know are giants because we saw them last year.
Yeah.
For Missouri bulls, giants.
Yeah.
They're big, and you could tell. I mean, they've already got multiple, like you can see them already splitting off in velvet. Like they're going to be big.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I would like to put in for it.
Yeah.
But
y'all put in for bear too. I think that's coming up. Yeah, you see a lot of bears down here. But we better wrap up.
Yeah, we need to go to bed and because we're getting up at like 4:30. So
lovely.
Yeah.
I just got back from a shoot. Mm-hmm. I just got back from it in Louisiana, an ASA. Mm-hmm. So it's I'm wore out, but I've got energy to go look for a turkey. Well, I hope we can find one. Yeah, it'll be fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy it a lot. Mm-hmm. Like as far as going, and now that we actually hunted together, I'm like, yeah, this is gonna be fun because we hadn't hunted together before. Mm-hmm. Nope. Normally I'm just whitetail hunting and. That I don't mind being alone. Right, yeah. To be honest, there ain't many whitetail hunts that I've been on because with someone, because even like my dad, he let me go early. Yeah. And so since I was, I guess 9 years old is whenever I started hunting by myself. Mm-hmm. And
Well, and whitetail hunting is a lot different to, like, as far as like hunting with someone. It's harder to, I mean, you can have your camera guy in the tree or whatever with you, but like as far as hunting together, it's not really.
No.
No.
It's not like duck hunting.
No.
Duck hunting.
Duck hunting.
Oh boy, you get like three or four good buddies. Y'all go out there.
Yeah.
3 a.m. Y'all are super sleep deprived.
Yeah.
And having a good old time.
Oh yeah.
That's what I loved about duck hunting.
Yeah.
But all right, well, that'll be the end of Nebraska.
Yep. Yeah, that'll be. I guess that's it. Well, I don't really have. I mean, that's it for turkey season period so far, anyway.
Yeah.
I haven't had any luck here in Missouri. You haven't either.
I've been taking my 6-month pregnant wife.
Mm-hmm.
And she's been running around like crazy trying to get a bird.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. She loves it.
Yeah.
Like she really does. And she's heard them, and they got close. Went with my neighbor, and he's ate up with it, and they got close to a bird a couple times. But we'll try again Monday and Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be really good. So it's supposed to be like 80 degrees.
Oh yeah, the weather this last week's gonna be good. I think a lot of birds are gonna go down. Hopefully me.
In the morning.
Yeah, hopefully me in the morning.
Sweet.
And then roll right back into it next week. But anyway, all right. Well, that'll be it for today.
If you got any comments, anything that y'all want to say or add into it, don't be afraid to shoot us a message. We've got Instagram and
it's all the Ultimate Hunters, right?
Yeah, the Ultimate Hunters is the Instagram page, and then our personals. Mine's Kirk Washington. If you search that,
Yeah, mine's.
You know what your
Levi right now, Levi_right now.
Yeah, mine's like Kirk_Lee_ something like that. It's my middle name.
Yeah.
But yeah, look us up and shoot us a message. Like I said, we're pretty friendly, so
we don't
mind
we'll talk
talking,
to you. Yeah,
especially about hunting. So until next time, see ya.
See ya.